Hello, Ice and Fire Nerds. This is Chris, and this will continue our Game of Thrones Foreshadowing series, and we'll pick up right where we left off in part 15 with Season 1, Episode 5, The Wolf and the Lion.
Dracarys.
Alright, so let's jump right in and pick up right where we left off, and the first thing we have here is Bran, Theon, and Maester Luwin.
House Onward.
Family, duty, honour.
Those are Tully words, your mother's. Are we playing a game?
Family, duty, honour. Is that the right order?
You know it is.
Family comes first.
Alright, and the first thing we notice here is that Bran is learning his lessons from Maester Luwin, and as they're going over house words, they get to the Tully words, family, duty, honor, because Bran is kind of pissed off at his mother here. But they keep showing us this little shot of Bran digging into the table and scratching up the wood with a little fish brooch, of course representing House Tully. So in one sense it's showing he's mad at his mother for leaving the family because he talks about family, duty, honor, and in that order. But also Theon being involved in the scene says this here to Bran and Maester Luwin.
We do not so.
Lords?
The Greyjoys.
Famed for their skills at archery, navigation, and lovemaking.
And failed rebellions.
So Maester Luwin snaps back with "and failed rebellions," kind of hinting more at what Theon's doing there in the first place. We've seen this build up in the previous episodes, so we know later we have a little trouble with Theon, and we see this.
Here is the answer to your question.
The point here with this, which I believe in the books at least, was that the brooch was actually supposed to prove that it was Bran, although it was the Miller boys that Theon actually killed. And this in the books was at Reek's suggestion, which was actually Ramsay before we knew who he was. So this is what was supposed to prove that that was his body being burnt. In the books, it might have been a Stark brooch and not a Tully brooch. But oddly enough, in the show, as far as I know, they did not use this to prove it was Bran hanging there with Rickon when it was actually the Miller boys. I don't remember seeing the actual pin on the body hanging up at Winterfell. So to sum the scene up, it continues to hint at the issues with Theon's having, as far as him being a ward or hostage of Ned Stark. We hear about his failed rebellion and why he's there in the first place. And of course Bran is pissed off at his mom Catelyn being a Tully for leaving the family and not holding up her family, duty, honor words. And of course when Theon actually fakes the death of Bran and Rickon, and at least in the books the pin was shown on Bran's body to prove it was him and not the Miller boys. And in our next shot we see Theon and Ros with a little bow chicka bow bow.
I've been Lord Stark's ward since I was 8 years old.
A ward? That's a nice word for it. Your father rebelled against King Robert, and if he does
My father fought for the freedom of his people.
Now this scene was to kind of continue Theon's character arc as far as who he is, what he's doing at Winterfell, and of course this continues the theme of people poking at Theon for being there as Ned Stark's hostage, and eventually we do see Theon rebel and see this.
I've taken your castle.
Theon!
It's Prince Theon now. Get up. You have to get dressed. I've taken Winterfell.
And in our next scene, Varys goes to see Ned in his office, and we hear them talk about this.
If the wrong ears heard what I'm about to tell you, off comes my head. And who would mourn poor Varys then?
What sort of doom does the king face?
The same sort as John Arryn. The Tears of Lys, they call it. A rare and costly thing. As clear and tasteless as water, it leaves no trace.
So specifically here we hear Varys tell Ned that Tears of Lys were used to kill Jon Arryn, and the same thing is going to happen to Robert. And for me at least, the line that stands out here is the one where Ned says,
If Sir Hugh poisoned him, who paid Sir Hugh?
Someone who could afford it.
Well, of course, that points to Littlefinger being the Master of Coin. We've already seen in previous episodes on many occasions being the Master of Coin that he can find the money when it's needed, so it points to somebody being rich. You would think that would be the Lannisters, but of course later on we would find out this.
You gave me those drops and told me to pour them into John's wine, my husband's wine. When you told me to write a letter to Kat, telling her it was a Lannister.
Alright, now in our next scene we see Arya chasing a damn cat.
found one bastard already. He has the book. The rest will come.
And when he knows the truth, what will he do?
So first off here, Arya gets in a dragon skull, and of course this is the skull of Balerion the Black Dread. This is the dragon that helped conquer the Seven Kingdoms in the first place. So her being here and hiding inside a dragon skull could be foreshadowing of something we may see in Season 7 or perhaps Season 8. But more importantly, in this scene we hear Varys and Illyrio talking, and they say this.
The wolf and the lion will bid each other's throats. We will be at war soon, my friend.
What good is war now? We're not ready. If one hand can die, why not a second?
This hand is not the other.
We need time.
So obviously this is where we find out that Varys and Illyrio are working together, and of course we had already met Illyrio being with Viserys and Dany across the Narrow Sea. So this leads us to understand Varys' motivations just a little bit better, and of course later on we see this.
A group of people who saw Robert Baratheon for the disaster he was. We tried to do what was best for the realm by supporting a Targaryen restoration. The Seven Kingdoms need someone stronger than Tommen, but gentler than Stannis. A monarch who can intimidate the High Lords and inspire the people. A ruler loved by millions with a powerful army and the right family name.
Good luck finding him.
Who said anything about him?
And in our next scene we have Littlefinger staring at the Iron Throne. And of course it makes you wonder what exactly he's staring at the throne for, like he's thinking about sitting on the damn thing. And in the previous scene we got a few more answers about Varys, and in this scene we start to wonder more about Littlefinger, and of course in Season 6 we get this revelation.
A picture of me on the Iron Throne, and you by my side.
And in the same scene, Varys walks in before the small council meeting, and Littlefinger says this.
Tell me, does someone somewhere keep your balls in a little box? I've often wondered.
Now at first I didn't think anything was special about this particular line here, but interestingly enough, when he says, do you have your little balls in a box somewhere, later on we see this.
Influence grows like a weed. I tended mine patiently until its tendrils reached from the Red Keep all the way across to the far side of the world, where I managed to wrap them around something very special.
Sorcerer.
So Varys doesn't have his balls in a box, but he does have the damn sorcerer that cut his balls off in a box. That right there, my friends, shows some damn dedication to revenge. And during this same scene, Littlefinger and Varys continue to insult each other, and Renly comes in and asks what these two are conspiring about.
Well, please. To find myself in a position where a simple word to the king...
What are you two conspiring about?
Well, Renly, everybody's conspiring, including you. So of course Varys conspires to support Dany for the Iron Throne, Littlefinger supports himself for the Iron Throne, and then of course Renly gets talked into thinking he needs to be the king as well, and this of course starts to set up the War of the Five Kings, and then later on we do see this with Renly.
Do you know who should be king? Be serious.
I am. My father could be your bank. I've never fought in a war before, but I'd fight for you.
And in our next scene, Yoren arrives to talk to Ned.
Your name, friend?
Yoren, if it please. This must be your son. He has the look.
I'm a girl.
Did Benjen send you?
No one sent me.
Oh, we'll find recruits for you.
Thank you, my lord, but that's not why I disturb you now.
So again, this is very similar to a previous episode. This time we hear Yoren call Arya a boy, and that seems to be an ongoing theme, and that's because of this.
Keep your mouth shut, boy.
I'm not a boy!
You're not a smart boy, is that what you're trying to say? Do you want to live, boy? North, boy. We're going north.
Alright guys, so I'm going to keep this one short and sweet, so that'll do it for this episode. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, this episode doesn't really have a lot of good payoff scenes as far as foreshadowing, but it does have a lot of cool parallel moments. And again, this episode was one of the few written by George R.R. Martin himself for the TV show. Again, thank you for all the support, especially to you guys on Patreon. And a special thanks to my Patreon executive smokescreen producers, Hoss Griffin, Ball Guy 10, Lala Gig, Kisa Powell, Mark Joseph, aka the Snow and Winterfell, and Marilyn Bentley. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and also be sure to click that little notification bell beside the subscribe button to make sure you're getting notified when I drop a new video. And if you were subscribed to Smokescreen, make sure you are still subscribed to Smokescreen. I'm still getting a few messages here and there about people not being notified and having to resubscribe. So again, thanks so much, you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.